Hello everyone, and welcome to exploring or an introduction to the Reggio, what we know as the Reggio Emilia approach. So one of the important things to remember with when we're talking about Reggio is if you have studied at all any part of the BC Early Learning Framework, then you are already acquainted with the Reggio Emilia approach. So let me see here. What have I got? I have a few copies of the BC ELF. This is not my favorite copy. My favorite copy is actually a spiral bound one that is in a little bit of tatters because it goes everywhere with me. But this is the BC Early Learning Framework. You should all be familiar with it. And therefore, you should all be familiar with what we talk about as pedagogical narration, as well as inquiry-based learning. We should all be familiar with the term pedagogist, which comes from the Reggio Emilia term pedagogista. And so I'm just looking here for, there is, I think it's right in the middle. Where is it? Yeah, so right here, so if we look, so here are the principles of the Early Learning Framework, partnered with the First People's Principles of Learning. And then up above, we have something here that these represent the roots of the BC Early Learning Framework. So this one here, collaborative dialogue, a pedagogy of listening, pedagogical narration, and then critical reflection. So these, because one of the big things, given that we've just talked about Montessori and the Montessori approach, is, as you'll remember, the Montessori approach focuses on the development of the individual child, and that the child develops that inner guidance to do things, that inner reflection. So Reggio Emilia is more of it looks at things from a collaborative approach. And Reggio Emilia offers a lot of opportunity for children to come together and work together in groups on different things. And this is where it also expects, from a teacher perspective, that we are also working collaboratively with the children, with each other as colleagues, and with the environment that we're in. Whether it's an outdoor environment, an indoor environment, whether it's an environment that we're visiting, or an environment that is very familiar to us. Because, the basics of the Reggio Emilia approach is that children and adults learn alongside each other, that children can be teachers as well as adults, and that the environment represents what we call that third teacher. So the environment is something we interact with, and we affect our environment just as our environment affects us. And this is a big part of what goes into the thinking behind the Reggio Emilia approach. And one of the things you'll read about this week is the history of Reggio Emilia and how Reggio Emilia actually came to be. And Reggio Emilia emerged, as some of you may already know, in the town of Reggio Emilia in Italy following World War II. Now, so if you think about what you know about Italy during World War II, and the fascist regime that was governing in Italy for many, many years, for like decades, prior to the end of World War II. So if you think what the people of Reggio Emilia wanted to do was they wanted to come together and help and change the way children were being educated to essentially try and solidify their society against that possible a re-emerging of a more of a fascist approach, more of a very like, as opposed to a one for all and all for one, more of a like, you are all going to do for me, right? They didn't want that approach anymore. They wanted to help their community live in a more collaborative fashion. And so the teachers of the preschools in Reggio Emilia got together and developed what we now know as the Reggio Emilia approach. And a lot of their guidance came from Loris Malaguzzi, but even Malaguzzi will tell you that he worked in collaboration with the teachers. And something else that Malaguzzi talks about that you'll read about are the 100 languages of children. And the 100 languages of children infers that children communicate with us, with each other, with the environment in so many different ways. They communicate through art, they communicate through dance, through voice, they communicate through construction, they communicate through exploration. See, just like the cat, exploration. And so I have to say, one of the things that that I felt when I actually got my first copy of the new BC Early Learning Framework, which interestingly enough, because the new Early Learning Framework was actually rolled out in February of 2020 officially, unfortunately, a lot of that rollout got lost in, as you can guess, COVID. So events that were scheduled to roll this out to so many of us working in the field were kind of dumbed down and were, included in a very small email. So it has taken a little bit or it took a little bit for the framework to gain ground, not so much with in the post-secondary environment where instructors were using it, but more in those of us already working in the field, because it took a while. It wasn't until late 2022 or late 2021 and into early 2022 when finally professional development and so on was gaining ground to help educators connect with the new early learning framework. And I had the very fortunate experience of being invited to participate, or taking advantage of an invitation to participate in a Frog Hollow neighborhood house, or Frog Hollow Early Learning Society's a journey with the BC ELF. And so that was a 1-year professional development journey, learning how to use the BC Early Learning Framework and becoming acquainted with Reggio-inspired philosophies. So I'm looking forward to you guys learning more about Reggio.